going. Imagine getting rewarded for doing something you already do every single day. It sounds too good to be true, right? Well, that's exactly what Momo season is all about. There's something for everyone, for you, for me, for all of us. So download the Momo app on Play Store, App Store, and use Momo Pay for your day-to-day transactions to a merchant, either through the QR code or merchant ID, and stand a chance of winning 1,000 Ghana cedis weekly, plus other amazing prizes. Our merchants are also not left out of the reward. Receive payments and win. Keep using your Momo Pay on the Momo app and get rewarded. There are lots and lots and lots and lots of exciting prizes for everyone. So what are we doing today? Transact more with Momo Pay, earn more points, and win big this Momo season. Visit momomerchantapplication.mtn.com.gh for your Momo for Business account today. It's Momo season, so just Momo it with Momo Pay. T's and C's apply. Are you looking to fight fatigue, boost your energy level, or simply enjoy a chilled, delicious energy drink? Rush Energy is the perfect choice. Join us in celebrating our 10th anniversary in Ghana and try the smart new look with the same great taste that keeps you coming for more. Rush Energy drink is made with natural ingredients that help you to increase energy levels, improve focus and concentration, and enhance physical performance. With unique blend of ingredients such as taurine, vitamins B3, B5, B6, B12, and the power of ginseng extract, Rush Energy drink is a great choice for anyone who needs a little extra energy to get through the day. These natural ingredients also help to reduce fatigue, increase alertness and focus, making it an ideal choice for students, athletes, drivers, mechanics, masons, and anyone who needs to perform at their best. So be grabbing it. Saminiwa needs one. Be grabbing one right now. Yeah, be smart and grab a bottle of your favorite Rush Energy drink and boost your daily activities. It is available in all supermarkets and provision shops in Ghana. Rush Energy drink keeps you going. This advert is FDA approved. Now we're ready to go into our conversation with our drive doctor. I'm charged up. In fact, I have some Rush Energy drink already, so yeah. We've been having this conversation, especially last weekend. 2 weeks ago, Lexis Bill had that conversation with our drive doctor, and today I'm continuing this conversation. Hello, Dr. Yaw Osafo.
Hi, Kofi Hayford. I can feel your energy right from here, up on the mountain.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Doc, you see, I don't know if you've noticed this, but anytime Saminiwa is in the studio, Megbasa. Yeah. I don't know why.
Oh, Kofi.
And she's not the only one. Oh, she and Crispy K.
Crispy K.
Sometimes I have to buy and do like I'm singing. What is this?
So I sort them out with some Rush and
I will give them.
I think you'll be fine.
I'll give them Rush. Rush.
I sort them out. I think some two crates each will
do. Yeah, it will suffice.
We'll let them leave you alone.
It's true.
Kofi, how have you been?
I'm very well. I've been very good. I mean, it's been quite a beautiful time right here on Drive Time. But how are you two?
Yes, I've been fantastic.
Okay.
It's been a good week for the entire team here at Medicas Hospital. Today the weather it's been raining quite a bit.
Right.
But before we get into our conversation today, I want to say a good afternoon to Mr. Kojo Ashiboy. He's a loyal listener to the show, and we met today at the clinic, and it was wonderful meeting with him today. So, Mr. Ashiboy, I know you're doing the listening. Enjoy today's show as well. Look, we started a conversation about a very delicate topic, a subject that can potentially ruin the very special relationship, and that's how I always characterize it, the very special relationship that exists between healthcare professionals and, on one hand, and then patients and their families on the other hand. And it is a subject of the rights and the responsibilities that patients should enjoy whenever they interact with the healthcare system. I always characterize this relationship as special because of the nature of what goes into people seeking healthcare. Because of ill health, I get to know things about other human beings that ordinarily I wouldn't get to know about. Nobody's ever going to tell me their closest secrets, because we take a social history, for example, and we sometimes we go into certain areas of your life that you wouldn't even want to share with your mother or even with your siblings, but then you may have to share with your doctor, or you may have to share with your nurse or pharmacist, and that is why I characterize this relationship as special. It also borders on life and death sometimes, and other stakeholders, members of the patient's family, sometimes also feel entitled to know certain things about their family member. But then, what does the rule, or what do the rules say about what we can share with them and what we cannot share with them? So, in the past 2 weeks, that's what we have been looking at. The focus has been on the rights of patients. And we define rights as power or privilege that the public enjoys because of a law that has been passed. And we looked at different aspects. Today is the concluding part. But today we want to look at the responsibilities. So, rights can never be discussed in isolation. Rights are always discussed in the context or with a flip side of responsibilities. So you enjoy a right, and then you also are burdened with some responsibilities. So they go hand in hand. So what is the first responsibility that the patient bears? Number one, the patient is supposed to provide full and accurate medical history for his or her diagnosis, treatment, counseling, and rehabilitation purposes. Full and accurate is the description for this particular responsibility. So I've had some interesting experiences the past 18 years of practice, and sometimes I can understand from where I sit, but and the experience that I have. But initially, I would get upset when I felt that patients were being very economical with the truth. I didn't quite understand. Maybe socially I was very immature. But now with my maturity, I can understand why sometimes the patients would be very economical with the truth. Because, Kofi, for example, we are dealing with a sexually transmitted infection. That is what the patient's complaint is about. They are telling you that they have sometimes a rash on their penis. They have a discharge, and then you are supposed to interrogate them and find out, one, whether they are sexually active. If yes, then how many sexual partners do they have, and so on and so forth. When was the last time they were with somebody? And some people will be very, very economical with the truth because they're not quite sure whether they should be telling you all of these things and whether they enjoy the right of confidentiality, and whether or not you would exercise those rights. Because right there, sometimes in the consulting, you are in there with your nurse, you are typing out or writing out all the information. You're like, hey, what if somebody takes a snapshot of a page in your folder, and then these days, before you know it is out there, and sometimes the person is a very prominent member of the society or belongs to the clergy, for example. How is he supposed to tell you that he has 2 sexual partners in addition to his wife or the husband? It makes it very difficult for them.
It's a serious matter.
Yes. So it makes it a bit difficult for them. Now, with the maturity I have, I can quite understand why they may be economical with the truth, but we need to provide full and accurate medical history. It allows your doctors to be able to come to a proper diagnosis. Otherwise, you may lead us on a wrong path of diagnosis. We make a wrong diagnosis, and you get the wrong type of treatment, and the outcomes sometimes may be very, very disastrous. Smoking is also one thing that I know that people have a difficulty admitting to the use of. Kofi, they say these days we call it recreational drugs. I have a difficulty sticking to that particular description. That drugs of abuse, the weed, the narcotic agents.
Yeah.
It's difficult for people to admit to that, particularly when you have others in the consulting room with them. So you're a 17-year-old student at Presec, and then you are not too well, and then you come in, your father and mother are sitting behind you, and Dr. Osafo is quizzing you about the use of marijuana. Kofi said, "Who can know?" I was very evasive about that question. So sometimes these are the situations that makes it difficult for patients to be able to disclose fully. But it's up to us, the healthcare professionals, to assure them of the confidentiality that they enjoy, and also the real reason why we are acting and we're being so intrusive in their lives. So that is responsibility number one. Responsibility number two, the patients are burdened with the responsibility of requesting additional information and or clarification regarding his or her health or treatment, which may not have been well understood. Kofi, a lot of the times, a lot of patients come back and tell me that, "Hey, Dr. Osafo, you are the one who allows us to ask questions. Sometimes we are just too scared to ask the question. Hey, but how can I ask the doctor a question?" I was like, "Oh, ask questions, feel free. Engage us in the consulting room. Anything that you need clarification, just ask." I think there's been that culture where it makes it difficult for a lot of patients to really engage their healthcare providers by asking them questions, seeking clarification regarding a diagnosis or treatment. I most of the time go overboard. I would explain with diagrams, with charts. These days you have the internet, so it's very easy to sometimes get images of the diagnosis I am talking about and show pictures, patients pictures of exactly what I am seeking to explain to them. And when I am done, I always would ask them whether they have understood the language I have used and the implications of the diagnosis. But you have that responsibility. Too often I've heard patients say, "Well, when you ask them later on, when you are at the hospital last week, what exactly did the doctor say?" Everybody will say, "The doctor didn't say anything. He just heard my complaints and then wrote some medicines for me." Most of the time, it's not that the doctors did not say anything. A lot of the time, it is because they didn't quite understand what was said, but they lacked the confidence to request additional information. Maybe the posting for some of us as healthcare professionals also doesn't reassure them, or it's not inviting enough for them to seek the clarification. But it is your responsibility. You are burdened with that responsibility, and we also help you create the necessary environment or conditions for you to engage us freely in the consulting room. Number three, you have the responsibility as a patient to comply with prescribed treatment, reporting adverse effects to us, and adhering to any follow-up appointments. So, Kofi, when we prescribe the malaria medication for you, it is for 3 days. But Kofi Hayford is like Dr. Osafo. After the second day, when he feels that he can be back behind the console and be hosting the show, then the third day medication. So please, being compliant with medications is very, very, very important. And here, as a doctor, Kofi, I'll be very honest. I'll raise my hand. I'll tell you, it's very, very difficult for me to take all my medicines as my doctor has prescribed them on some occasions.
Yeah.
But it is very, very important. If the medication is prescribed for 7 days, please ensure that you comply. Sometimes not just medications, but for example, there are dietary restrictions. We put you on a particular medication and we say that during the time that you're on this medication, probably avoid taking milk. Why? The milk would probably interfere with the absorption of or the complete absorption of a particular drug. But that's the day that maybe somebody dashed you some rush energy drink and you wanted to rush yourself with it. But doctor will say, please, during this period, no energy drinks, no caffeine, no this, no that. It is very, very important that once the treatment protocol, and these days we try and be very, very engaging with the patients. Once we come up with a certain treatment protocol, then you have a responsibility to adhere to it. When it comes to medications, there are side effects to almost every single drug that we use. If there are side effects, then you have the responsibility of reporting these adverse effects to us. The FDA, Food and Drugs Administration, they have a very elaborate process of reporting and following up on adverse effects of drugs. Please, please, please don't make the assumption that the doctor doesn't know his stuff or the pharmacy is stocking substandard drugs, and that is why you have experienced adverse effects. When you take every patient's information leaflet, we have these things in there, adverse or side effects of drugs. These are potential happenings when you use any medication. And therefore, we would like to know if you have suffered or experienced any adverse effects. It's important you report to us. We will follow up with the FDA. And if everybody is reporting a particular side effect, then a certain trend is noted. Then the FDA will take the necessary the steps needed to withdraw that drug from the market or conduct additional investigations. Again, it is the responsibility of all patients to obtain all necessary information which have a bearing on his or her management and treatment, including all the financial implications. If I like the last bit, see, the hospital services or healthcare services are not free. Either you are paying through your national health insurance, private health insurance, or you're paying out of pocket.
Yeah.
So it is never free. And therefore you have to obtain all the necessary information. The first time you get into any healthcare facility, you have to understand the financial implications and how you can pay for it. You settle that, except it's an emergency. We all know that in emergency situations, then all these things, rules may not necessarily apply. But you have to inform yourself of all these things, and don't wait until services have been rendered and then it becomes you battle with the healthcare providers over your bills. So we want bills to be settled and not battled. Again, it is the responsibility of the patient to maintain or help cooperate with the hospital or the health service provider to maintain a safe and hygienic environment in order to promote good health. Unfortunately, Kofi, sometimes some patients on the inpatient unit behave in a way that creates difficulties for us to maintain proper hygienic environment that promotes good health. So I have had experiences where food particles or leftover food, instead of being placed in the dust bins that have been provided or food bins that have been provided, will be dumped into the sinks, blocking the drainage, and then leading to challenges with plumbing, and therefore the maintenance of a very hygienic environment, maintenance of the washroom, for example, the toilets. Sometimes it provides a very, very big challenge, for us. I concede that in Ghana, not a lot of families or homes have water closets, and therefore you may come into a hospital facility that is using water closets, and that in itself sometimes is a challenge for people. So some of these things do happen, but you have to, as a patient, cooperate in maintaining a safe and hygienic environment in order to promote good health. This is your responsibility. You also have to respect the rights of other patients and the rights of the health service personnel. Unfortunately, sometimes things have gotten out of hand, and you would find patients, their relatives, raining insults, be very, very uncooperative with health service personnel. I've witnessed a few in my career, and it is not the best. I have witnessed shouting contests on the wards, and when you do that, you should realize that there are other patients on the ward who need the peace and quiet that the hospital environment provides to promote good health. So, in as much as you would insist on your rights, in as much as sometimes your rights may be infringed, you will have to find a way of communicating or addressing those grievances without infringing on the rights of other patients. And then lastly, Kofi, all patients are burdened with the responsibility of protecting the property of the health facility. All damages are payable. That's how I see it. All damages are payable. But before you even pay for it and before we even replace it, it means another person will not be able to use that particular property.
That's right.
That you have utilized. So whenever you are in a hospital facility or a health facility, you are burdened with the responsibility of protecting that property that you are using, be it furniture, be it small medical equipment. You have the responsibility to ensure that the next person would have full access to that particular property. So, Kofi, there you have it. All the responsibilities patients are burdened with.
I see. This is very informative, to be honest. And some of these things I think we know. So this is a very good reminder. I mean, it might look like it's one of the least, but among the things you've mentioned, one that I put my mind to is maintaining safe and hygienic environment in order to promote good health, especially in the hospital and what have you, when it comes to using the lavatories and what have you. But I have a question. I have a question here from one of our listeners. I'm very sure we might have time later for this, but this one says, what if the prescribed medication cannot be afforded by the patient? Is he or she exonerated of his obligation to undergo that medication?
Right. So if you are not able to afford, because there are certain parameters that we take into consideration when we are prescribing medications. Efficacy is always top of the list. Safety is number 2. Then we also have cost of the drug. So that is why in medicine we talk about equity and not equality. So some antibiotics, you may have to take one a day for 3 days, and then you are fine. That comes at a certain price. If that individual is not in that socioeconomic bracket, then I will have a conversation with that individual and say, you know what, there is an alternative. You would have to take it 4 times a day, and you will have to take it for 7 days to get the same end result.
Right.
So, fortunately, in medical care, and especially with medications, we always have options and alternatives. And that is why right from the get-go, in the history taken, the doctor will be interested in the economic history, socio-economic background of the patient.
Right.
And the doctor is supposed to use that information to make a determination as to what the patient is able to afford. If you're paying for your healthcare services using insurance, for example, then again, your package under the insurance would also let us know what is possible and what is not possible. All of these things will have to be discussed thoroughly with your doctor, so that it doesn't happen that the doctor just prescribes any type of medication, and then you also go out there and then you are not able to afford that particular medication, and then the work is left undone.
Right. Okay. There are so many other questions, but like I said, I'm sure, of course, the producers will make time. Maybe next week, I don't know, but definitely there will be a time for our listeners to also ask some of the questions.
We will have an open clinic in the coming weeks, so that we can address. We can take a lot of questions on the right, and then also on the responsibility.
Okay, Doc, please put out your number and how people can contact you privately, apart from
right. So for those who want to reach out, the number is 050-939-2623. Our WhatsApp number is 0501-477-340. And then our social media handles are all active. We'll continue the conversation there. Our Twitter handle, or X handle, I should say, is at Medicas GH. Medicas Hospitals, our Facebook page. And then on Instagram, also at Medicas GH.
Alrighty, thank you very